Hi, let's talk about the OPPO A78 in 2025. And the big question is it still worth it? Now, before we dive in, it's worth mentioning that there are actually two versions of this phone, a 4G model and a 5G model. And the differences between them are honestly kind of ridiculous. For example, the 4G version came out later than the 5G one. Hold on a second, I'm gonna turn on the phone so it looks a bit better on the screen. So yeah, the 5G was earlier than the 4G one, and yet in some ways it's actually better. The 4G doesn't have 5G obviously. The 4G gets an AMOLED display at 1080p, while the 5G is stuck with just LCD at 720p. 4G has Gorilla Glass 5, 5G has Panda Glass, yeah, whatever it means. The 4G launched on Android 13, while 5G launched on Android 12, but both can be upgraded to Android 14. Processors are different too. The Snapdragon 680 can be found on 4G version, while 5G gets the MediaTek Dimensity 700. RAM and storage are mostly the same, but 5G can also come in a weaker 4GB RAM option. The 4G charges at 67 watts, the 5G only at 33, and the fingerprint scanner. In display on 4G and side mounted on 5G. So yeah, pretty strange trade-offs. Now the unit I have here is the 4G version, so that's what I'll focus on. And honestly, it's smooth. It feels exactly like from what I would expect from a mid-range phone today. Apps open quickly, navigation is fluid, and day-to-day use feels modern. I'm actually gonna change the settings so the screen doesn't go out that quickly. Yeah. Now I can speak. So here's the catch: no 5G. And that's a big disadvantage in 2025, especially since the 5G version is only about $10 more. Still, the version does come with its own compromises, like the weaker display. This one, the 4G one, has a better one, and slower charging on the 5G version. And it's not as clear-cut as just pay the extra 10 for the 5G. And I was really surprised with that. Like, when I first did research about this phone, I searched OPPO A78 on the browser, and there were two different phones on the display. Like, I'm literally just gonna show you that. You can see this phone right here. It has its camera right here, right? And then there's the 5G version. It's completely different. So yeah, it's not just pay extra 10 for the 5G, it's pay extra 10 for a completely different phone with a worse display, by the way. And worse RAM, because the $10 more version than this one has actually 4GB of RAM, and this one has 8, so it's also just weird. Software-wise, the A78 4G runs OPPO's ColorOS, now on Android 14, and it's honestly fine. I like it. There's the visual OPPO bloatware here and there, but it can be uninstalled. Updates though, don't expect much, but budget phones rarely get long-term support, and this one's no different. Fortunately, European Union is trying to enforce manufacturers to produce phones and then support them for at least 5 years, but this phone was released in 2023, so it doesn't care. Now, the cameras are solid for the price. The main rear shooter is 50 megapixels and takes decent sharp photos, not flagship level but perfectly usable. The second lens is just a 2 megapixel depth sensor, so it doesn't really matter at all. Selfie cam is okay, could be a bit better but gets the job done. Then battery life is pretty good, and that 67 watt charging on the 4G version is a big win compared to the slower 33 on the 5G. Plus, the fingerprint is under display, which is a bit more premium than the side mounted on the 5G. The build itself is nice, the phone looks good, as I've shown you already, but I'm gonna show you that again. It's just really pretty, especially here on the back, right? Now, also, it keeps a headphone jack. You also get dual SIM support and a dedicated microSD card slot, so no annoying hybrid tray compromises. What I mean by that, I'm gonna open the tray here. You can see the tray here is not hybrid, which means here is an SD card slot and here are two separate SIM slots. Hybrid trays are when you have one dedicated SIM slot and the other slot can be used either as SD or as SIM, but not both at the same time. So that's a really nice touch that we have full functionality here. Now, the OPPO A78, is it worth it in 2025? Well, I'd say yes, but with conditions. The 4G model is smooth, affordable, and has a solid display and fast charging, but the lack of 5G is hard to ignore, especially when the 5G version costs almost the same. Still, if you don't care about 5G and want better screen quality and faster charging, the 4G might actually be the smarter buy. Either way, for around 150 and 160, I'd recommend it. Just don't expect it to age gracefully in terms of updates. And what I mean by that, I've mentioned the system earlier. Yeah, it's Android 14 and it's not gonna get any better. And what's important to mention here is that currently it's Android 16, that's the newest version. The next year it's gonna probably be named Android 17 and so on, and the phone is gonna get outdated more and more. So if you're not looking for a very long-term solution as this phone, then it's gonna be just about fine, but in a few years it will feel outdated. So for 2025 it's fine, but if you're planning on using it longer than 2027, then I would actually seek out something else. And I hope I could help you with this video. Feel free to leave a comment. Which one do you actually prefer, the 5G or 4G version? Are you decided on getting any of those? Or maybe you want a different recommendation from me? Feel free to leave a comment. I'll try to respond to that. And also feel free to like and subscribe to our channel to help us create more videos like this in the future. And I'll see you in the next one.